We are getting ready to move out of our wonderful home for the last 37 years. We had a house also in West Seattle, and then we had a child. And the house really was not a child-friendly house. It had half walls and open stairs and all sorts of things that just would have been a nightmare as he grew up. So we thought we knew what we wanted. We thought we wanted a Rambler, not a lot of stairs, two-car garage, and so we were going around with a very nice realtor with a baby in our arms and looking at Ramblers. And I was trying to be real positive about each one. And we'd get in the car afterwards, and he'd say things like, "Bedrooms in the basement don't count," and check that one off the list. And then we were driving to the next Rambler probably, and we passed an old beautiful house, and I said, "Oh, that's a pretty house," and he said, "Oh, we have one of those for sale," and it was this one, and we came over. The owners were there. The real estate office was calling them, had been calling them, and they were out. They just got home. We were at the front door hearing the phone ring saying we were coming. They had stuff hanging over the stair railings, the way, people live. And they sort of showed us around. And I was totally confused because there's this walk-through closet and Bill wasn't with me, so it was just me and the baby. And I went home and said, I think I found a really fun house. And that was that. We were over around Genesee Hill, and I think we just fell into this location. We did love the park, Hiawatha Park, the tennis courts, the wading pool, and all of that. So we did love that. I don't think we realized how much we were going to love being so close to everything. And the theater and the library, which we practically lived in when our kid was growing up, and restaurants, and I don't think we realized how wonderful that was. I think that was just a pleasant surprise after we moved in. I think the neighborhood has always been wonderful, and I think it continues to be wonderful. We were so happy to be here, and we would have little Christmas get-togethers with the neighbors, and just sort of in gratitude. The neighborhood has had children grow and move on, and families grow and move on, but it's always been just a wonderful place to live, really. And one time we got a van, and our neighbors across the street were just selling their camper that went over their pickup truck, and they said, hold on, and they came out with a little Johnny pot for us to put in our van. I think that was the kind of neighborhood it was. I think our approach evolved. I think at first we were just so busy that the house was just what it was. And then we realized what a gym we had, and we really grew into feeling like we were stewards of the house. We weren't really owners. We didn't own the house. The house didn't own us, but but we respected it. And I remember just like, we have to keep these window frames going, you know, they're not going to fail on our watch and things like that. So we got a chance to meet some of the people who grew up in this house, whose parents had this house built, the Slates. And what makes me smile is their stories. And there is that walk-through closet was where the telephone was, and you can still see a rough spot in the wall where it was. It makes me smile every time I look at it, because there was this story with the 4 girls. So if one of them was dating somebody that the other girls did not approve of, there's a little powder room right outside one of the doors of the closet. So they would, you know, close the doors and have their private conversation with their boyfriends. The other sisters would open the door, open the powder room door, and flush the toilet if they didn't like that boyfriend. And so that was a way of saying, you know, get rid of him. And that makes me smile. There's a post at the top of the stairs where one of the girls used a sewing little deal and made little holes in the top of the post. And she, 50 years, probably longer than that, years later, still felt guilty about that. And so I had no idea what these little wiggly lines were up on, but then I did, and that makes me smile every time I see them. When we first moved in, my car wouldn't start. It was in the carport, which is very narrow because it was, you know, built for 1925 cars, and has concrete on both sides. And, you know, I was nosed in, and I thought, oh no, you know, it's just going to be awful to try to get that. And the back of the house is also on a street. It's on 41st. And so a block away is Barnicut's. It used to be Barnicut's service station. And so I walked down there, and I was trying to think in my head how I'm going to describe where my car is, because I didn't want to use the address because they'd think it was on Walnut. And so I walked in, and there's Mr. Barnicut, and I introduced myself and was trying to explain where my car was, where my house was, and he said, "Oh, the Slate house," and that it totally skipped over the people that we bought the house from, who had owned it for over a quarter century. And I just thought, oh, that's great. And he helped me and got the car going. And that told me a lot about West Seattle. You really find out that people have deep, deep roots here. And the high school is just down the block from us. And there are people who graduated 50, 60 years ago who get together with their classmates monthly. They have monthly reunions. Like, really? So, probably for the first decade or so after we bought the house, there would be occasionally, not a lot, but occasionally someone would knock on the door and want to know who designed it. They would sort of describe themselves as people that were involved in National Historic, and I loved kind of taking it down a notch and say, well, it was a Sears catalog house. And one time a guy came, and same sort of thing, same sort of spiel, and I did my spiel. Well, they bought it out of the Sears catalog. And he said, oh, well, the architect that I see when I see your house worked in Chicago. And I thought, well, you got me. That really could be the case. I suppose they had to get somebody to design these kit houses. So that was fun. Well, we've tried to do, especially my husband's really into infrastructure. I would be wanting to buy curtains, and he'd be wanting to, waterproof the basement. So we retrofitted it for earthquakes, even though it survived several, just fine. Um, One with us in it, and we just try to, stay ahead of repairs. It's really a very, very solid house, and as we look at buying closer to our son and daughter-in-law, I realize that not all houses this age are as well built as this one. So we came to a well-built house and have just been able to keep it going because of that. This has been really, really, really hard, and I do a change whenever I say that. I think we're off on our next adventure, and I say we're going to find our next forever house. And so we're going to be okay, but it's been extremely difficult. And I thought we'd be here for another decade, but it's probably good that we're leaving while we still can do it ourselves and still have the wherewithal. So off to the next adventure.